Okay, Ninja Theory, we get it. You're good at making games. You don't have to prove yourself anymore.
Methods for a little synthetic killing. It's all harmless fun.
Okay, first of all, thanks for joining in. Second of all, sorry I don't have the normal room with all the geeky stuff in the background because that room is being occupied at the moment. Okay, so Hellblade Senua'S Sacrifice is made by Ninja Theory, who made a Heavenly Sword, Enslaved, and the latest Devil May Cry. So basically, you play as Senua, of course, and you're a Celtic warrior, and you're on your way to kind of the Northlands to free your lovers. I'm not going to say lovers, that sounds kind of weird. Betrothed. So you're basically there to free your lover's or betrothed's soul from hell. It's caught in hell, or Helheim, as the Norse mythology calls it. And throughout the game, it's a lot of walking and a lot of solving of puzzles using optical illusions. And what I mean by that is that basically to open up certain doors in the game, you have to find these symbols, and you have to find those symbols within the wilderness or whatever area you're in. So you kind of have to shift the focus around to make things match. I know it's kind of confusing, but you'd have to take my word for it. During the game, you actually, you're being talked to. There's voices presumably in your head, and I recommend from the sound quality of this to when you're playing these games, wear earbuds, because you could just hear the voices coming from everywhere, and they're very negative, and sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're just just egging you on, like, oh, you're stupid, that's dumb, and it's just coming from all directions all the time. The sound quality on this thing is really good. Now, before I really get into it, I don't want to beat over the head too much at this current moment, but there is a lot of talkings of like mental issues with this game, primarily the main character Senua. Even at the beginning in the credits, there is a mental health advisor. I mean, it's just like right in your face, like, yeah, this is where this game is going, and it goes very deep inside of that. Now, right when you start getting into the game a little bit, you're kind of infected with this kind of disease. It starts off on your hand, and it keeps on going up as you play the game. Now, the game tells you that if you die too many times and this infection goes up your arm and reaches to your face, you'll die. And if you, well, I shouldn't say you die. It's just going to flat out erase your save, and you have to start from scratch. Now, there's conflicting reports saying that this isn't the case, which is good, because that's very stressful. But with that, though, it's kind of bringing you into the anxiety that Senua has. Senua, there's kind of multiple personalities going on. There's definitely mental health issues that she's having with all these voices in her head. But it also comes on to you with the anxiety of like, oh my God, I don't want to die. I don't want to do this all over again. And to me, that's actually kind of cool, projecting out the anxiety to the player. Now, throughout this game, there's a lot of walking around, a lot of puzzle solving. I need to say this out front. This is a beautiful game. And I don't mean beautiful in the sense that like everything's just like roses and flowers and pinks and purples and yellows. It's beautiful in the way it's presented, and like the feeling of dread that you have walking through it. I'm not going to lie, there's one part of this game that's like pure nightmare fuel. Now, you're probably asking, like, well, what about combat? Yes, there is combat. In fact, there is combat, and it's very From Software-esque, like, Bloodborne, Dark Souls type of combat where you're dodging heavy hits, light hits, and so on and so forth. And you kind of get the rhythm down, and that's kind of where the game falls apart, is the combat, because the enemies are kind of just the same all the time. It gets a little monotonous. You're just doing the same thing, dodge, parry, slash, and you do it a couple of times. There actually is a mechanic where it actually slows down time, and you can just go to town on these enemies. Now, having said that, there's battles in this game for sure, but they're kind of few and far between. You're walking more than, and puzzle solving more than you are battling, and when you're going into battle, you kind of know it's about to come up because there's this wide open space, enough for you to be able to dodge and all that good stuff. So, there is battle, just not a whole lot of it in the grand scheme of things. If anything, even if you don't think it's one of the best looking games you've ever seen, you have to hand it to the actors and mocap actors that did this game. I mean, the acting is pretty flawless. I mean, it's some of the best that I probably have ever seen. And I do want to give a shout out to the main actress. Her name is Melina Jurgens. So Melina Jurgens, she was actually, from what I understand, I don't know if this is true, you can tell me in the comments below, but she was actually a video editor with Ninja Theory, and they was like, hey, you want to do this part? And I guess she didn't really have any predilection for acting, but she nails it. I mean, just the pure confusion, the hurtfulness, and the pain and agony that she projects onto this character in this game is fantastic. If she's not nominated for Best Actor in a game through like the VGAs, and there's no justice in this world.
Their gods can see into your mind. They will use this power to destroy you.
They won't stop me. I can still feel it.
Whatever's left of him.
Overall, Hellblade: Senua'S Sacrifice is actually probably one of the best games this year. In fact, I'm going to say it's probably a contender for Game of the Year. Now, I don't think it's actually going to beat, like, you know, Horizon or even Legend of Zelda for that matter, but it's up there. And while it's not a perfect game, and the combat unfortunately kind of takes away from the experience a little bit, the story is well fleshed out, the acting is phenomenal, it looks great, the sound quality is excellent. I can't give it enough praise. And while it's, once again, it's not a perfect game, I also think it's a very important game because it actually kind of talks about real world problems in a new way through a video game, which I don't really think has been done before. It probably has, I just don't remember it, nor do I remember it having an impact like it did for me playing this game. Mental health, you can't take it lightly, and I think this game conveys it in a very realistic and a very, you know, it didn't dumb it down any for you. I mean, it's right there in your face, and like everybody involved just did a great job with it. I can't give it enough praise. So having said all that, I give Senua'S Sacrifice, or Hellblade, whatever you want to call it, 4.5 controllers out of 5, and for the $29.99 price point on PSN for it, I'm going to give it a must-own award, or must-have award. Okay, everybody, that's all for me. I'm Brian Wayne with Nerd Theory. Tell me what you thought of the game. Have you tried it? What do you think? Comment below. Please like, please subscribe. Every little bit helps. And keep on being entertained as long as it's legal.